Hello, folks. Welcome to the weekend edition of the Satori Traders Precious Metals News. The big news in the last few days is the jobs report on Friday. And isn't it interesting, or, tongue-in-cheek, isn't it surprising? It's July, and we have notable job gains in leisure and hospitality sectors. So anyway, markets were reacting Friday to what was perceived as a strong jobs report because we hired a bunch of lifeguards and, waitresses and cocktail waitresses, anyway. But this is not atypical. It's very common that the markets precious metals markets in particular, move around these jobs reports. We won't see what happened in the futures markets until Tuesday when we'll see the COTS numbers. But it would be my guess, reasonable to assume based on history, that there was a lot of selling in the precious metals, silver and gold on Friday. Let's see, this cycle, in my opinion, this is the big economic cycle, if you can really call it that the whole world is on at this point. And it's basically the Fed threatens to withdraw QE, quantitative easing, which, basically the only thing holding financial markets up at this point is that central banks around the planet are printing fiat currency 24/7. But so anyway, the central banks, they threaten to withdraw their currency, the markets decline, confidence falls, economy weakens, and then we're back into the QE cycle. And so it's just, we've been doing, in my opinion, as I came into adulthood as an investor, it was the dot-com crisis. And so we've been playing this game since 1999 was the dot-com crisis. And we're just in, we're just in the latest cycle of it. The strong job report on Friday suggests that the economy is strengthening, and therefore the Fed will need to taper earlier than expected. And of course, anybody based in reality knows that the Fed is never going to willingly raise interest rates. The market may raise them for the Fed, but the Fed is never going to willingly raise interest rates. They demonstrated to the world and to themselves, if there was any doubt, in 2018 that any real tightening of their quantitative easing, real rise in the interest rates, market immediately starts to tank. And so, that's basically where we're at. They backed themselves into a corner, in my opinion. So anyway, that's what we saw on Friday, is the market's reacting to a strong job report. Gold weakened, probably had some significant selling in the futures markets to encourage the precious metals lower. Yeah, and again, the strong jobs reports, it's leisure and hospitality. So, take that for what it's worth. And we also have to acknowledge when we're looking at metrics like the jobs report that we're still in the aftermath of the 2020 lockdowns, which occurred globally. There was a significant percentage of the global economy destroyed in early 2020 with the lockdowns, and in my opinion, destroyed forever. Some of it's trying to come back, but a non-trivial percentage of our economy just trashed in 2020 will never recover. And you may or may not think that is part of an agenda, depending on your viewpoint of the world at this point. So let's see, I'm looking at my notes. I've got a few things to cover. Oh, and so anyway, in any of the metrics, we have to acknowledge that we're still in the volatile aftermath of that early 2020 event or series of events. And so, we have to give the markets room to recover from the big big dramatic events and not assume that the metrics that we currently see are truly reflective of the underlying economy. Because again, 943,000 jobs created in Friday's jobs report. Yeah, okay. This was an interesting headline, and I see these headlines from time to time. The idea is that as part of the push towards green energy and electric vehicles, we will see increasing demand for copper. And so this is just another one of those articles which gave me a theme for the precious metals mining stocks that we'll look at this week. And I'm focused in particular on the stocks that have an element of copper. They have exposure to copper. And so Hannan Metals is one of those mining companies. Here we are in the daily. Oh, I said daily. That's mislabeled. This is the monthly time frame because I wanted to look at the big picture. And so what I see is that we've got a 62% retracement of this impulsive price movement that we got in, this is late 19. So through 2020 and early 2021, we've now got a 62% retracement of that movement. Volume is doing what we'd like to see in an uptrend. When price is falling, we want to see volume falling. And so that's exactly what we've got going on here. This is accumulation distribution. Investors are holding on to this stock. They are accumulating this stock. MACD's gone flat. It's just flat, flat, flat. Don't want to read too much into flat. Energy is in the tank and falling. Let's see, do we have anything else to look at here? So anyway, from a technical perspective, Hannan is not looking bad. Now let's acknowledge that this is a penny stock. So we're sitting at, that's 22 cents, 21 and a half cents on this is over the counter. So we're looking at HANNF over the counter at 22 cents. And it's not looking too bad, and this is the monthly time frame. Oh, and the key idea with sharing this, let's focus on the precious metals miners with an exposure to copper, is that when we're having volatility in the precious metals like Friday, if we have some stocks in our portfolio that benefit both from precious metals and from copper or tin or zinc, whatever the metal is, a possibility that those stocks won't get hit as hard as a pure precious metals miner might get hit. So anyway, that was Hannan. Let's see, what do we got next here? Folks, this computer, I'm going to have to upgrade. This is Altamira Gold, and this is a Quentin Henney project. Obviously, we've got a big pullback that occurred. This is our daily time frame. Yeah, so that was on Friday. Altamira pulled back in sympathy with the pullback in the precious metals. We did get a bump in volume, and so, we never like to see that. Don't like volume rising when price declines. Notice that accumulation distribution investors are definitely hanging on to this stock. MACD is on a buy signal, not quite all the way up into bull mode yet. Energy is elevated, so Altamira looking good. Another project with copper in its background. And I think, let's see, so Altamira is in Brazil. And let's see, the CEO is the largest shareholder. And so that's a positive indication that when management chooses to invest strongly in their own companies, you might think that they actually were on to something and not just playing the stock game. A lot of companies just play in the stock game. So Fortuna Silver, that's a U.S. listed silver miner, FMS, is a shareholder of Altamira. So there's another positive indication that Altamira really has the goods. Crescat is an investor, and of course Crescat and Quentin are affiliated. And so when you see Crescat, Quentin comes along with the package. They are actively drilling. Let's see, they're planning a construction to begin in 2021. I haven't kept up with that in recent months. Probably pushed back with COVID. Seems like everybody's getting their activities pushed back by COVID one way or another. So anyway, let's keep moving on. I think Eloro is next. If my computer will show it, there we go. This is the weekly time frame of Eloro. This is over the counter. And so we can see, price bouncing between those two. This is a Fibonacci extension tool, bouncing between 30.2% and the zero level. Coincident, that's 40-week moving average. Price just bounced strongly off of that level recently. Investors, lost interest, choosing to move on. So we see that in the accumulation distribution. MACD remains in bull mode, both indicator lines above zero, which suggests that the primary trend is upward. Energy in the tank, but rising sharply. So, and Eloro is another Quentin Henney prop. Let's see. We have Ethos Gold. This is one we've looked at a couple of times recently. We are in the weekly time frame. And this action in the accumulation distribution is really remarkable. At 43 cents, I'm thinking I may go in Monday morning and buy some of that. So what I had pointed out last time we looked at this stock is that we'd had this breakout, and that if and when price pulled back to the breakout level for a retest, that might be a good buying opportunity. And so wasn't really expecting it to happen that quickly, but potentially that's what we saw on Friday, is that, there's our breakout on, we're looking at weekly charts. This was our breakout on week prior, and then last week we've got price pulling back into our breakout level. Let's drop down to the daily time frame, because now I'm curious. And see if let's expand that. One way to look at this current action is that it's a bullish flag. Any number of ways you could draw it, something like that maybe. But anyway, with the expectation that we would get another breakout from that level. And so again, I may be buying on Monday morning. Quentin Henney property, we can see our project. Accumulation distribution, investors are accumulating this thing. Energy is elevated. MACD in bull mode. Yeah, looking good there in Ethos Gold. Now let's go do our normal run through on the other charts. This is gold in the monthly time frame. So we got, price potentially challenging the bottom of that shoulder structure. And of course, there's a lot of flexibility in how we draw patterns on our charts, and I don't like redrawing. And so I'm not going to redraw that shoulder so that we can realistically evaluate that new price action, because potentially price is violating the bottom of that shoulder. Here in the weekly time frame, all we have so far is a pullback to, this is, 62% retracement of this price movement in 2021, and also this shift pitchfork. And so price is testing support at the bottom, the lower median line of that pitchfork, which is coincident with the 62% retracement level. In the daily time frame, obviously that's not pretty action. We don't like seeing that as investors. And so, that was Friday morning. Price has dropped all the way potentially to a support level. That's about 1758. Next support would be at 1730 if we don't hold there. MACD is on a new sell. Energy is low and falling sharply. So not pretty action in daily time frame of gold. Potential crossover sell signal coming up there in the moving averages. I wanted to look at GLD. We're in the weekly time frame here to see what volume was doing, and so we can see that volume is gently rising, which that's not bullish action. Not bullish action in the gold markets. Energy declining and low. MACD on a sell signal. So retail investors, GLD, that's ETF. So that's a suggestion that retail investors are moving out of gold as, the proxy of GLD. Silver in the monthly time frame. So again, potentially we've got price challenging the bottom of that flag pattern. In the weekly time frame, this silver is continuing. It is extending this push below the 40-week moving average and the bottom of this flag or pennant pattern. Energy in the tank and dropping sharply. MACD remains in bull mode, albeit on a sell signal and still declining. So not pretty action in the weekly time frame of silver. Daily time frame, same as gold. We got the big plunge on Friday. Our next solid support or somewhat solid support that's basically 24. So we got a round number at 24 and a prior low at that same level. If price wants to go lower, based on MACD and stochastics, we would expect, it would be reasonable to expect silver to head a little bit low in the coming week. Part of what the metals are reacting to is strength in the dollar. And so here in the weekly time frame, we can see that the dollar is very bullish. We've got the buy signal in the moving averages, MACD in bull mode on a buy signal, energy is elevated. So definitely strength in the dollar in the weekly time frame. We still have to get through resistance in this zone and resistance at the median line of this Andrews pitchfork. So it's not clear sailing overhead in the dollar, but we have to acknowledge that the dollar is strong right now for whatever reason. Here in the daily time frame, we can see this is part of what drove the metal on Friday. We got a big spike in the dollar and the metals went lower. So Bitcoin on Friday, this is the daily time frame in Bitcoin. I would call this a breakout that, basically we've got you call that a flag or a triangle. And Friday was the breakout, and the volume action is supportive of the idea that we got a breakout. We always want to see volume rise on a breakout. So MACD has moved up into bull mode, both indicators above zero. We're on a buy signal, energy very elevated. So nice positive action in Bitcoin would expect, or it's reasonable to expect upside to continue. I'm looking for what we might expect as a next target, and I'd put it up here somewhere. 40 looks like 47.40 or thereabout, something like that, which coincidentally is that next. It's the lower median line of that Andrews pitchfork. So that would be my next target in Bitcoin in the daily time frame. So in the equity markets last week, I'm forgetting to look at GDXJ. Well, I'll have to come back to that. So the equity markets last week, we obviously got on Friday a break higher, so the new all-time highs and a break above this resistance level, energy elevated, MACD in bull mode. So continuation of the uptrend in the SPX, breakout in the Dow. The Dow's been struggling, as I have pointed out, and then on Friday we got this breakout bullish gap higher in the Dow. So maybe the Dow wants to play catch up at this point. The Nasdaq, it had pushed to another new all-time high. That was Thursday, and then we got some pullback on Friday. So that's the Nasdaq. Brent, let's see what's going on in Brent. I was looking at potentially a new gentle downtrend. This is a shift pitchfork. We can see that the price has dropped below that level. It's down here in this support resistance zone, and the $70 round number is significant as well in the oil market. So interesting action. MACD is dropped down into bear mode. Energy is mid-range and declining. So let's see. I said before I forget, let's take a quick look at GDXJ and GDXJ. We look at weekly and daily. And let's see. here. Sorry about this, folks. I normally have these charts open, and this is the daily time frame, and so we can see that on Friday, in sympathy with the physical metals, the mining stocks dropped back to support, and so we can see that this level has provided support several times recently and did so again on Friday. So that's GDXJ in the daily. Here in the weekly time frame, no new information, just more sideways. So folks, I'm going to call that a wrap. I will see you at the midweek report. Have a fantastic week.